Welcome back into Thimbleberry U. I am John Jagay. I'm joined by Amy Wallace from Thimbleberry Financial. Amy, always a pleasure to be with you.
Jag, it's always great to talk to you.
And today we're talking about something that I think you've kind of coined in your career as a financial advisor, and that is the income danger zone. So where do you want to start?
I'm used to hearing myself say the income danger zone, and hearing you say it reminds me of that scene in Top Gun with the song Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins playing.
Right, and I would totally play that right now if not for a copyright issue, but I think everybody listening can hear it in their head right now, and as we wait, 3 more years for the next Top Gun movie that supposedly was going to come out a year or two ago.
Well, and I'm glad to know that you hear it and our listeners are recognizing it, because then we're not aging ourselves.
Fair enough.
So this income danger zone, it's not a set thing. You can't Google it and find the information. It's an observation that I've made frequently in my 18 years of being an advisor. And over that time, the income range that goes with it has changed with inflation. It's clearly gone up. So what the income danger zone is when your income is large enough that you don't feel the need, and I think feel the need are the important words there, to be careful about your spending each month, and yet your bank account isn't growing by accident because there is too much money coming in.
So you said feel the need. All I could hear in my head is feel the need for speed now that we're talking about Top Gun. But I want you to sort of explain that again, Amy, because I think it bears repeating. So this is where your income has gone up.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't feel like you're kind of living on the edge and paycheck to paycheck, but it's not like you have a ton coming in either, right?
So usually have quite a bit coming in. So you are not worried about the day-to-day, month-to-month.
Mm-hmm.
But you also don't have so much coming in that no matter what you do, the money just ends up growing in your bank account.
So money is not a thing that keeps you up at night, but you're not to the point where money is no object. You can spend whatever you want.
Exactly.
Okay. When does this income danger zone happen?
I'm going to laugh every time you say income danger zone. But Jag, I'm actually reluctant to give a range because it depends on income and lifestyle. What I mean by that is, does someone have kids or not? How much are they already putting into savings? What I've found is it often happens to younger professionals.
That makes sense, because I think about maybe being, 20 and you get a tech job. I know a lot of your clients are in the tech field that, oh, wow, all of a sudden they're not scraping by for beer money in college. And all of a sudden they've got more money than they know what to do with. And, oh, wow, look at all the cool toys I can buy.
Yep. Another time that I tend to see it happens might be if people have kids, that their kids are maybe now in high school or middle school, high school. They've dropped a lot of the weekly activities that their kids have. And they're in their prime earning years, and they maybe want to do some upgrades on their home. They're wanting to go out to the lake on the weekends. There's just fun activities and there's wiggle room to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have just been so busy before with the, I had a lot of words come to mind. The one I'm going to go with is joy of small children. They want to enjoy. So oftentimes their retirement plans at work are fully funded each year. So that's $19,500 for those under 50.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have an easy plan in place to save more money for the long term. So they did the easy things to save, but they don't know how to do more.
Okay.
Kids may, like I said, may be a little bit older, no more expensive daycares. And like we talked about, their income has grown. So they just want to enjoy it. And delayed gratification, we know, is hard.
Yes.
And they often feel that they deserve to enjoy it, given these harder, tighter years.
Yeah, you think about, okay, we were paying for childcare and, soccer and ice skating and tap dancing and whatever your kids were doing. All those things are over right now. Oh my goodness, look at all this disposable income that I didn't realize I had. What can I spend it on? I feel like is the natural reaction to it.
Absolutely. And I think, what I find is it happens accidentally. I think if you asked folks in the income danger zone, are they trying to spend money? The answer is no. It's happening by accident because they don't have a plan in place for what to do with that money. And because it's so easy to play catch up.
It's funny. I think about our last podcast where we were talking about spouses and money. And part of the reason I was always afraid to start my own business was because I'm just not good with money. And this is where my wife comes in, and we joke that she's the CFO of my company because she helps me with the books and keep everything intact. And I feel like if not for her, if I finished a big client project and I had a big check come in, I would be like, ooh, I'm going out for a nice steak dinner and I'm going away for the weekend. But having her as sort of the backstop for me to help realize, okay, this is how we're going to plan. This is how we're going to do it with less money. Because again, the natural temptation, I think for most people is you have an unexpected income or you have lessen expenses. It's not to be responsible with it. It's, I wasn't expecting this money. What can I do with it?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think inconsistent income
Yeah.
is what you're talking about there. It can definitely fit into this. And I think we need a whole podcast just on that topic too.
Well, I think we've just given an idea for a future podcast. We have a relative in the family and he works in commercial real estate, and their income is very inconsistent because he'll get a giant commission check and then might not get a check for a month or two. So it's a really hard thing with, you said, inconsistent income. Now that we've identified and explained the income danger zone, how do you know that you're in it?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Some listeners may already be recognizing themselves given our prior conversation. But if not, here's some questions that I think someone could ask themselves. Do you find yourself making purchases, not always a splurge, but sometimes, and saying it's okay because I can make it up by being a little bit more careful next month? Guilty
as charged.
Number 2 is, are you intentional about your spending?
I'm feeling attacked a little bit here. I'm feeling what do the kids say? I feel seen.
I have not heard that one yet. I'm, again, probably aging myself. So here's the thing. I think Costco is the example that always comes to mind for me here.
I can feel my chest tightening.
Yep. And this time of year, there's rafts and camping gear and who knows what hanging from the ceiling. And you go and you're at Costco getting groceries or what have you, and you realize, ooh, this looks like a lot of fun. Ooh, our family would enjoy this. Even though it's not something you've really considered doing before.
I do that with food at Costco. I'm like, how many $100 did you spend today, Jag? Well, this exotic cheese plate looked really good, and so did this pot roast, so I just grabbed them.
Absolutely. In this story, someone goes and buys a bunch of camping equipment.
Yeah.
Without thinking about it. Because it sounds fun. They'll use it. And it wasn't planned for. But guess what? It added up to be a bit.
Yeah. And there's a whole science to how grocery stores in general are laid out to get end caps and how they can psychologically tempt you to buy things. And if you're not careful, you can fall right into that trap.
Absolutely. And I think, Jag, to your point earlier, the examples I keep using are monthly, but this doesn't have to be monthly. It can happen when you have that inconsistent income.
Mm-hmm.
Just the splurge.
All right. So now hopefully our listeners that are in this income danger zone are recognizing that they are in it. And I'm just going to keep saying income danger zone, because I'm trying to get you to laugh. But what are the consequences of the income danger zone?
First, lifestyle creep.
Yeah.
Right? Your lifestyle gets bigger. It means that it's harder to be on track for longer term goals.
And it's harder to pull back, too.
It's harder to pull back. There's a whole mental game dilemma that goes on in doing that. The consequences earlier, I shared that you're likely not saving enough. And I think that's the consequence, right? Lifestyle creep keeps you from saving more. In this case, you're not being intentional and conscious about how much you need to save for those goals.
Mm-hmm.
Another consequence could be debt. This one often happens by accident, right? Because you were robbing Peter to pay Paul. Well, what happens if all of the sudden that income isn't there any longer?
What if you bought the raft and the camp equipment at Costco and you need new tires on your car?
Exactly. Next month got extra tight.
Yeah.
And then there's the emotional and behavioral pain from all of these examples that can happen, whether income's not maintained, you get behind because the tires happen, just all of that pain.
It can be quite painful. All right, so how do you overcome this income danger and how do you fight your way out of it?
Yeah, so I think the key word here is intentionality. And I feel like I'm using that word quite a bit, but it's such an important thing when you're looking at meeting longer term goals. And I realize that intentionality isn't always fun. Right?
Not as fun as that raft at Costco.
Absolutely.
Or the cheese plate.
So the trick in intentionality, I think, is to know what these longer term financial goals, and it doesn't always have to be long term in retirement. It could be medium term goals. Maybe it is to have a vacation house at the lake, right?
Yeah.
But to know how much those cost you on a monthly or an annual basis. And different people need different numbers, right? If your income is very inconsistent, you might want the annual numbers.
Or even sometimes short term. I know that there is a podcast convention that I'm headed to the first week in August, and I'm saving for it a couple months out and mapping that out, just being mindful of that so that I don't have this, get whacked with a bill come August for hotel and food and all that.
Now, Jag, I have to ask you, given we recorded a podcast last time on conversations with a spouse, and you've talked about your wife being your CFO, was that you or was that her?
Oh, it was totally her. I own that. Absolutely. But she's coming with me on the trip, so
perfect.
So it all works out in the end. She can sit by the pool while I go to seminars all day.
So it also means having a spending plan, and that spending plan doesn't start with the expenses. It starts with the amount you need to save. Your bigger ticket non-monthly expenses, so tires on the car. Shouldn't be a surprise. They should be something that are planned for and you have money set aside for. Your bills, and then your monthly spending money. And then last, accountability.
Yeah. On your point there about the spending plan, and I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, Amy, I love this idea of putting your savings as a line item in your budget and then figuring out what your spending money is after that. Because I think too many times, most people just spending money, whatever's left after my spending money, I'll throw into savings. If you make what your savings, short, medium, long term, a line item in the budget before you determine your spending money, that will pay quite literally dividends in the long term.
Absolutely. I have found it to be a key element of really getting ahead and knowing that you will reach your goals and being able to be consistent.
And those goals are so important. Amy, if somebody wants to come talk to you at Thimbleberry Financial about any concerns they have around the income danger zone or anything related to their financial future, what are the best ways to find you?
Yes, they can find us on the web at thimbleberryfinancial.com or by giving us a call at 503-610-6510.
Good stuff as always, Amy. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great, Jag. You too.
Registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Thimbleberry Financial are not affiliated.